What's up, y'all, and welcome back to the Life in the D podcast. This is a podcast where bold talk meets real talk, and we shine a light on the people out here really living, building, and creating community here in Dallas. I'm your host, Tila, and today's conversation sits right at the intersection of culture, connection, and creativity. If you've been wanting to fall back in love with reading, or you've been craving real life community that feels intentional, grown, and welcoming, this episode is for you. Today, I'm sitting down with founder of Books and Brown Sugar Book Club. It's a book-centered company amplifying Black literature through books, apparel, and curated literary experiences. This space is about so much more than reading. It's about connection. But before we bring today's guest onto the porch, we got to talk about what folks around the city have been feeling lately. First of all, I hope that everybody made it through the winter weather safely. I mean, I've been looking at social media a lot and I've saw everything from folks sliding down hills to people breaking out the skis in downtown to some folks driving like bats out of hell and crashing. Y'all know y'all be really acting out when these snowstorms or ice storms hit. So I hope y'all are all good. Not everybody's all thawed out a little bit. Let's get into what's been happening around the city because Dallas is always moving, always growing, and sometimes that growth brings up some real questions. So let's get into today's Dallas Download. Well, lately, there's been a lot of conversation around libraries here in Dallas. According to reports from the Dallas Observer, the Dallas City Council has slowed discussions about potential library branch closures. No final decisions have been made yet, but the conversation itself has people paying attention because libraries aren't just building with books. They're safe spaces, they're learning hubs, they're places where kids go to do their homework, adults apply for jobs, and communities gather, especially in those neighborhoods that don't always get the same level of investment. So when we even start talking about losing access to those spaces, it raises a bigger question. As Dallas grows, who are we growing for? And how do we make sure that access doesn't get left behind? This conversation ties right into another story that recently stood out to me. Now, this one was on WFAA, and they reported that Patchouli Joe's Book and Indulgences, a longtime independent bookstore in Denton County, is closing its doors. And anytime we lose a local bookstore, it's more than just a business shutting down. It's a loss of culture. It's a loss of conversation and a loss of a space where people can slow down and connect in a world that's always rushing us to scroll a little faster, move a little faster, and do even more. Independent bookstores, they don't just sell books, they create community. They host readings, for up and coming for up and coming writers and artists, and some that we know really well. They also spark dialogue. They give people a place just to be curious. And when rising costs, rent, and changing habits make it harder for spaces like that to survive, it forces us to ask ourselves something real. How intentional are we being about how we spend our money? Because supporting local, it isn't just like a feel good phrase, it's a choice. And that's why I always want to highlight businesses that are doing it right and still holding space for community. So today's community shout out goes to the Plot Twist Book Bar. Now, this is one of those spaces that really understands the assignment. Books, culture, conversation, and connection all in one place. It's the kind of spot where you can go grab a book, attend an event, and actually talk to people face to face. And spaces like that matter. Spaces like that really matter, especially right now. Dallas is growing fast. We've seen new buildings, new transplants, new opportunities, but the heart of the city has always been the people and the places that bring us together. So whether it's supporting your local library, shopping at an independent bookstore, or pulling up to a space like the Plot Twist Book Bar, just know that those choices add up. Because the question isn't just, is Dallas growing? It's, are we growing together? All right, that's enough. I'm gonna get off my soapbox, but let's go ahead and bring today's guest onto the porch. I always love to kind of start at the beginning and talk a little bit about like what inspired you to start your business.
Yeah, so I've always been a reader, since I was a kid. And in 2019, I had a son, and it was so hard for me to read after that. Like he was just taking up so much of my time. So I started a Bookstagram just to hold me accountable. And I really found my love for reading again. So then I was like, man, I want to wear some cool like merch, to show that I'm a reader. And I looked and I couldn't find anything that like was that my friends wouldn't be like, "Girl, what you got on?" You know? So,
Yes.
nothing really cool, so I was like, "Alright, Imma make it." And so I started making merch and people started buying it and it kinda went crazy. And so that's how I started, and then slowly from there, I've just been adding different things. So, then I added doing pop-up events and selling books and then doing my own events and then a subscription box and a book club, and so it's just been expanding since then.
That is super cool. As a child, though, how did you get was your parents, like, avid readers, or did they have, like, tons of books, like, in front of you? What sparked it as a kid?
Yeah, my dad, he was an avid reader. One actually, crazy enough, one of my first memories is me going to college with him. Like, he would take me to class with him and just sit me there and give me a little book. That's, like, one of my earliest memories, but he was an avid reader. He always bought me books, and even in, like, high school, he would take me on dates to Barnes& and Noble. He would, like, let me get a book or whatever, so, I don't know, it just kinda came from his love, and he influenced me, and it just really stuck.
Cool, I love that. And was there, like, when you were initially starting the business kinda process, did you think, like, "This is just something that just needs to exist, like, we should have this. Why don't we have enough of this?"
Yeah, like, honestly, it started as a hobby. It was just something that I was like, "We need this." Like, Black people need apparel for readers that matches our culture, right? Like, you think about football, if you
Mhm.
love football, you wanna wear a jersey, right? Or whatever. If you go to a concert, you wanna get a T-shirt. So, it's just kinda like that. People who love reading, they wanna be able to express that through apparel, and I didn't
Yeah.
find anything that spoke to our culture, so I just started creating it. But I really started it as a hobby, and
Mhm.
then as life happened, I started to realize, like, "Nah, girl, this revenue is not giving hobby, and you need to put more into it," and so it kinda just, like, blossomed naturally.
Did you have a lotta, like, your friends or family were, like, kinda seeing what you was doing and, like, cheering you on? Did you have a lot of support, or did you have to kinda share the vision and, like, get people on board?
Nah, luckily, like, my friends and family, they were on board, and I didn't even really ask them to, but they just saw it and they was like, "We love it," and so, like, my dad would purchase shirts, my family purchased shirts, my cousins were in my first photo shoot, so everyone was super supportive, and then because I had started on Bookstagram as just a reader, sharing books through there, I had built a community, so even people who I didn't know, they were supportive, so before I actually dropped, I had sent, like, some free shirts to some of the Bookstagram community, and they posted it, so by the time I did drop, I did, like, a secret launch to just my subscriber list, and I sold out before I even went public with it, so it was just really cool. I had so much support. Man, I'm telling you, and I don't know if it was because it was well, in Texas, y'all weren't really in the pandemic then, but it was, like, coming right out of that, like, I think that was just, like, a really good time for businesses and for creatives, and people were just really supportive during that time period.
Yeah. Do you, so what's your background? Do you already have, like, a graphic design background, or, like, what is your how did you, like, already kinda get it? Like, it feels like it was kinda a little bit smooth for you, like, was it?
Man, no, I wouldn't say it was smooth. I think I just had the time, but it wasn't smooth. I was on, like, YouTube University
Okay.
learning. I actually hired a graphic designer for my first drop, and I just didn't like what they were producing. I was like, "This is just not it," like, and I could see it in my head, but what they were giving me wasn't it, so I paid them and I never use those designs. I'm like, Imma just take that L and Imma learn how to do it myself, and so I just kinda learned from there, but my background is in biology. I was actually in dental school while all of this was going on, and I actually left dental school to do this full time in 2023. So,
Okay.
yeah, I have a biology background. They don't even really match.
Oh, that's cool too, because I know a lot of people who, like, they don't end up wherever they started. Whatever you went to school for, a lot of times they're not using them degrees, so that does definitely happen a lot of times.
Man, not at all. I'm like, I always say, like, I really pay for the experience. Like, I pay for the experience I got and my friends that I got, but that degree, even the classes, like, yeah, just and now, that was back I graduated college in 2015. So now it's even more different because you have so much access to all the like ChatGPT and all these things that the world is changing so much that it just makes it even like, my brothers, they didn't go to college, my little brothers, and, I was like, "Y'all should go," and da da da, and they was like, "Well, you're not even using your degree." And everything that I would learn, I could probably learn online. I was like, I
Yeah.
didn't really have a rebuttal because 'cause I'm like,
Yes, I
you
understand.
got a point there.
Right too, and I'm like, I don't know. If people ask me today, it really depends on what you're trying to do. Like,
Yeah,
if you ask me, like, would I recommend college? But like for a lot of different things, probably not. Look, I
right.
have student loan debt that like I ain't have to have.
Okay, yeah, like, for real.
Yeah.
I wish that I had figured out that this is what I wanted to do sooner, so I
Mhm.
didn't have that student loan debt. Because 'cause I'm like, "Man, I still would've went to college personally, though, because like I said, the experience. It
Yeah.
was like it was a perfect safety net where you're not quite an adult with the full-blown responsibilities, but you're not living with your parents.
Mhm.
I still woulda did it, but yeah, them student loans, like, man.
Yeah.
I don't know. If someone asked me today, I don't know what I would say either.
Yeah.
It really would depend on what you're trying to do.
Definitely. But like you're saying, to your point about like, yeah, it's so many lessons and things that I feel like you only will get from that college experience, like a lot of
Yeah,
times. But you also, like it is a great little space to kind of, I mean, almost like a little practice for adulthood, right?
for
Yeah.
sure. I think it expands your perspective because you're meeting people from all over.
Hmm.
Um, yeah, I personally loved it, but the world has changed today, and I will say that the skills that I got in college, I'm not using them today. So,
Yeah.
just depends.
Makes sense, makes sense. So to shift a little bit, I know that reading sometimes too could kind of feel like a little bit of a solo experience. So I think like the way that you're turning it out though is you're making it so much more of a shared experience, but as far as like sharing it on social media and all your products and the book clubs and things like that, how important do you think that sharing those experiences and stuff is?
Yeah, I think extremely important. I think we are communal beings. So when you think of anything, when you think of eating, like if you go to a restaurant and the food is bomb, like you're gonna tell somebody. You're not just gonna not ever say anything. Like if someone say, "Hey, a good place," you go recommend that place. You may share it on your social media or whatever, you're gonna share that experience. Even if you think about the movies, right? We love going to the movies together or at a theater where you're surrounded around people. So it's the same thing, different hobby. When you read a good book, you really want to talk because you like, now I know she didn't just do that. I know
Yeah.
this character did not just do that. So you want to talk to someone about it. And I think like that is the really cool part of reading. And reading is subjective. It really depends on where you are in your life, what you like, and different things like that. So, being able to hear how other people interpreted the book is really cool.
I love
And
that. Yes.
yeah, and it expands your mind. Like being in the book club, there are books that I would have never picked up that other
Mm.
people recommended. And like now I'm a fantasy girly. And I used to be a romance girly, but now I'm like hardcore fantasy. And that came through like the book club. So yeah, I
Yeah.
think it's extremely important to expand your mind, expand your taste, just have someone to relate to and converse with. So many benefits.
Yeah, I definitely agree with you on that too. For a long time, I was on all those like kind of self-help books and stuff like
Yeah.
Build Your Business book, and I'm like, that's all I would ever read until I joined a book club. And then, like you said, I was reading like some romance and some different stuff. Like I would have never ever have chosen. And then
Yes.
also hearing how much they love it and what authors they get into and stuff. And I'm like, wow, okay, I love
Mhm.
that.
Yeah. Yeah, I love the best meetings for me are when the spectrum of what we thought about the book is so different. Like some people are like, I absolutely loved it. And I'm like, really? You you loved it? So it's just really cool to hear everyone's different thoughts and things like that.
Yeah. Yeah, I think so too. And then, kind of too with like building a business like this. And then you kind of talked about it earlier when you said, no, I really wasn't that smooth. I think like a lot of times when we look at people's social media, for instance, it looks picture perfect. You see these great events, you see these pop ups, you see just all this like curated, very cool things. But a lot of times people don't really get to see all the work and stuff that goes behind it. You want to talk a little bit about how you prepare for some of your events and how you get all this merch ready to go and stuff?
Yeah, man, it's definitely tough for sure.
And do you have anybody that's working with you, or is this all on you?
No, so everything's on me. I do partner. So like we have an event called Booknik and it's a spinoff of Freaknik, but surrounding literature. And so what it is we have a book swap. There's a long table and you can come bring books that you already read or don't want to read and swap with other people. We have a DJ, we have food, drinks, we have vendors, so you can buy from other authors and other businesses, and it's such a vibe. And so for that, I collab. I have a partner, um, and they're called Booked and Busy. They're Booked and Busy Book Club, and it is a team of I think 4 of them. And so like for that magnitude of an event, that's something that is a partnership. I think our last Booknik had over 500 people there.
Wow, that's
And
good.
yeah, so something like that I could not carry on my own, but it's so important to have partners who are aligned because I've had partnerships before where they're not in the book space and it's just not as seamless.
Mhm.
And because they're already in the book space with their book club and they're readers, they understand the vision. And so for something like that, there are a lot of hiccups trying to get our merch. We sold the merch. We did pre-orders, but then sold it in person. So there are things like that. We had 20 volunteers, so that was really cool. But yeah, it's quite a bit to throw on events, and I still get nervous. Like, is anybody gonna show up? So I
Yeah.
still have those moments that the book community, they're pretty solid. So it's been pretty fruitful.
Okay. That's really cool. Cause yeah, I know the entrepreneurship, like, in that lane, it's just so much stuff you have to do. You have to be your marketing person. You gotta be your, your everything really, like, the outreach, the building stuff, the crafting stuff, the coming up with all the ideas, the handling the social media pages. It definitely could get a little overwhelming at times, I'm sure.
For sure. I remember when I first started, I was like, "Man, I kinda want a partner so I don't have to do all of this by myself," but then I was like, "But" I saw what it could be so clearly that I was like, "But if I bring in a partner, then I gotta, listen to what they want too," and
Yeah.
I didn't wanna do that, so I did take on, like, the weight of doing it by myself, which, like you said, is a lot of different hats, so I'm trying to learn Photoshop, I'm trying to figure out how to do ads, I'm trying to get the revenue side together in QuickBooks, and there were so many things, but luckily, there are a lot of different accelerator programs out there that are really helpful. There are a couple in Dallas that I've done, and then some like nationally that I've done that have really like helped prepare me and give me tools and resources to better my business. So that's been pretty cool as well.
That's awesome. What is something that was like one of like more of the challenging moments about getting everything organized and set up for the business?
Man, one of the more challenging things, I think, is having, like, systems and operations in
Mhm.
place. Like, as an entrepreneur, if you stop working, then you stop eating.
Okay.
So so
Yes.
really, I just created a job for myself. But what I'm trying to do is create a business for myself. Whether I'm working or not, revenue is still coming in.
Mhm.
So it's been really tough to work on the business and not in the business, right?
Yeah.
So, yeah, just setting up systems, operations, procedures, that has been really tough for me because I'm
Mhm.
like, if I was to leave today, no one would know how to take over because there's like no systems for real. So that's been something that I've been working on. Like if I which not to say that I am, but if I were to hand this off to someone, that they could replicate what I'm doing because it's that organized.
Yeah. That's also like the hard part of creative life because I also learned that with this podcast, I try to hire a virtual assistant kind of when I started this because it felt like a little like I was doing quite a bit too. And it was hard because I didn't have all that, like you said, the systems in place. So they didn't know what to do. A lot of time they just creating stuff and I'm like, what is this? what happened here? Like, what?
Okay.
No, this ain't right. I can't, no. So, like you
Like,
said, I had to go back and start creating some of those SOPs and get my, like, game plan down. Now I feel like if I hire someone, maybe it'd be a little bit better. So I totally get that.
yeah, I hired a social media manager, like, in year 2, and there was so many mistakes around that. One, this person, they were good at social media, but they weren't in the book world,
Mm,
which matters,
yes.
like, because you don't know what's going on and you don't know what books to post, nothing, like, you're just kinda clueless there, but you know it looks good, so that wasn't working, and then there would be times where they weren't posting, and I'm like, "Well, what's going on?" They would, "Well, I don't really know what to post." So I was, like, creating content for them to post, and I'm like, "This is not
Yeah.
I can post it, like, I don't wanna create the content." So and I had already had, like I said, a year of postings, but it just wasn't clear. So I had to step away from that and be like, "You know what? Let me get this together." So if I do hire a social media manager again, the vision will be
Yeah.
clear, the system will be clear, they'll know what to do, so just like you, like yeah, I
Yeah.
think sometimes you could probably hire a contract too early if you don't
Yeah.
have it in place.
Yeah, because you just feel like, "Okay, where is my time best spent as an entrepreneur here?" Like, I feel like I should be in this area, so I wanna just try to drop off these things, but I think it's all like a learning curve. Once you get into the entrepreneurial world, you just kinda you gotta figure it out. It's all learning curve stuff. Like, we gon like you said, take some L's and keep on working through it.
Look, yes, I take those all the time, and I try to be gentle with myself and say,
Yeah.
"Well, I wouldn't have got here if I hadn't took that L," you know?
Mm,
I wouldn't you don't know what you don't know,
yeah.
and once I took that L, I was able to put something in place. Like, behind every policy is a mistake.
Mhm. Yeah.
So, yeah, I try to be gentle with myself, but the ones that's attached to time and money, them lessons hurt.
Okay, yes, yes, definitely. I totally agree. So another part of this podcast is we definitely are really Dallas focused. So how do you think that like being in the city has kind of helped to shape your journey?
Man, so I'm actually from here, but I moved to DC after college, and that's where I birthed this business. And in
Mm,
DC, like if you've ever been, the energy is just so different. The Black people are so different.
yeah,
But their book community was like they book community was so dope. And I when I came home, I moved back in 2022 when my dad got sick, and I was like, "Man, Dallas needs that here." And again, I couldn't find it. Like I remember hashtagging like book clubs on Instagram, Dallas book clubs, couldn't find it. There are a ton now, but like
yeah.
back then I couldn't find any. And so I just started building. Even when we think of like bookstores, there's only one black owned bookstore in Dallas, which is Pan African. And if you haven't been, you should definitely go
I need to check
there.
it out. It's on my list now.
Yeah, they are amazing, but that's the only one. And if we count Fort Worth, which if you're from Dallas, you know Fort Worth don't count because it's far.
Yeah.
Then we have 2, and I think that's pretty ridiculous that we only have 1 Black-owned bookstore. So, yeah, I just think there's so much potential for the book community to be built, and there is a need. Right now in our book club, we have over 300 people in that chat, and, yeah, I just see that there's a need. And so I am here to do my little small part in the corner of Dallas.
That's a good point because, like I said, it does seem to be like if I go on social, I am seeing quite a few book clubs, but I mean, I haven't been to a ton of them either. And like you said, store wise, yeah, it seems like it definitely could be more hyped up, more talk about books, and we could be doing a lot more than we are doing for sure.
Yeah,
Do you
and
think
even
that people's changing, like and that's the thing too, maybe we're not seeing because more people are using like, e-readers and things like that, so they're not carrying a book around, so we don't always know what people are reading. And I know even myself, I take advantage of the library's little Libby app thing, so I'm listening to books a little bit more lately too. So I don't know. Maybe people are reading, we just don't know.
I definitely know the people are reading. So whether it's Kindle, Audible, or physical, the people are reading. I just don't think there is space. There are many spaces. There are some, but I don't think there are many spaces for us to gather or literary focused events
Okay.
that appeal to our generation.
Okay.
But I know the people in Dallas are for sure reading. I meet people all the time who will spark up a conversation if they see me with a book, even if they don't have a book. So, I think that we for sure have a lot of readers. I think that we don't have a lot of spaces for us, and we don't have a lot of literary focused events for us. Even when you think about, like, some of the big book tours, I remember when Jay Ellis went on his book tour, and, like, he did not come to Dallas, and I was like he went to Austin, and he went to Houston, but he did not come to Dallas, and that happens so much, but we don't have a lot of I assume that because we don't have, like, spaces.
Yeah, 'cause I know Austin had that big book festival thing they do every year and
Yeah.
stuff too, so yeah. That's a good point. I haven't really heard too much yet. Maybe it yeah, that's a good point. Did you ever get a chance to check out spot? The one girl had I think it was called Black Lit. She had a space in Farmers Branch.
Yes, I've been
Yeah,
there before. Uh-huh.
okay. That was a good little space.
Yeah.
I'm sad about her little story. I think it's on, like, news and stuff. You can read all the details, but that was a really cool space when it was open.
Yeah, I feel like we need more of that, for
Yes.
sure. Like, I think Dallas is a perfect place, and we just need more third spaces that have us in mind.
Mhm.
And it's not limited to just books. I mean, I think we should have everything. Like, I stay at Soiree, which is a black-owned coffee shop. But yeah, I try to find a lot of black-owned spots because I just feel like at home and comforted in those spaces. So yeah, I my hope is that a lot of businesses grow and expand in Dallas that have us in mind.
Yeah, I agree, definitely. Is there any moments from any events that you've had recently or I guess any time throughout your, career where you have kinda, like, been like, "Dang, this is why I do this." Like, anybody, like, pick up a book or something or some conversation that really, like, impacted you in a way to make you feel like, "Yes, this is
Yeah,
the moment."
for sure. I feel like that every event, I feel like that every book club meeting, every threads, every Instagram interaction, like I always felt like that. But I'll tell a specific story is at our first book night, someone made a reel after, or they made a post on threads, I think, and maybe a reel too. But it was a yes, it was a reel. Okay, so someone made a reel and it was her and a bunch of girls and they were all eating and it showed them at Booknik and then they were all eating and her post said, I came to Booknik alone and I left and met these women and it feels like I've known them forever. When I looked at the video, I couldn't tell. I thought they all came together and they were all friends. And so to see that, and a lot of times readers are introverts.
Yeah.
And so I get a lot of people who are like, I don't go outside, but I books. So I came, um, and then they have a good time and they meet people. I think stuff like that always be like, man, this is why I do it. Like my heart swells up every time.
Yeah. Do you still get to read a lot? You feel like I know you got a lot of work and a lot of events and things you're working on now. Do you still feel like you got enough time to be reading some books and stuff lately?
I do. One, because of the book club, so I make sure, we jump around with who hosts. So if your book gets picked, then you'll host that month, and lead the discussion. So even though I'm not leading every discussion, I'll still read, pretty much every book. And then I used to be a self-help girly too, so I would pair a fiction and a nonfiction. I haven't been into self-help lately, but I've still been reading outside of the book club. This particular month, because of the whole snowstorm, I got to read quite a bit. So I just posted my January wrap up and I had about 5 books on there. So it was a pretty good month. So it just ebbs and flows depending on what is going on with life. But I've actually, crazy enough, been reading more now than before the
Oh,
business.
wow, that's actually really good. Wow, your time management skills must be on point.
Look, they really not, but I will stay up. If the book is good enough, I'll stay up till 2, 3 in the morning
Yeah.
reading. So, the last 2 books I've read were so good. The last one I read it in 2 days. It was, Friends and Lovers by Eric Jerome Dickey. It's a throwback from the
Mhm.
'90s, and they just made it a series, and I wanted to watch the series,
Oh,
but I was like,
what's
"Let me
that
read
one?
the book first." It's on Lifetime or
Okay.
Amazon Prime, so I rented it on Amazon Prime.
That's cool,
Um,
I love that.
yeah, but I was like, "Let me read the book first," and the book was so good, I read it in 2 days, but I stayed up, like, really late. I'll read after my son goes to bed most of the time, so but
Is
yeah,
there
that
any book that, like, maybe is there any, like, popular books that everybody like and talk about that you actually like, I don't really like it"?
man, I don't wanna get in trouble for saying
Oh, okay, alright. I just
the girlies that or They be on my head. But okay, I know how to I can say it like this.
Okay.
Before I Let Go by Kennedy Ryan.
I think I read that. Okay.
Yes.
Yeah.
Everyone loves that
Yeah.
book,
Yeah.
and it was just okay to me. I
Okay.
was like, I mean, it's cool, like, I don't see the hype,
Yeah.
but I've read some of her other books, which were really, really good. So
Mhm.
I love Kennedy Ryan, don't come for me, y'all. I love Kennedy Ryan. That book, I just was like, "It's okay," you
Yeah.
know? So but again, it's all about, like, perspective and where you are in your life.
That's
So
true too. That's true
it
too.
could have
There's a
been
couple
just
of books, yeah, I've had to reread and yeah,
yeah,
sometimes I reread them. I'm like, "Okay, now I'm yeah.
yeah.
Now I'm on
Like
board."
the like The Coldest Winter Ever. I've
Oh,
read it yeah, I've read it every decade of my life. So when I was a teenager, I read it and I loved it. When I was in my 20s, I don't remember what I thought, but I read it in my 30s and I was like, "Nah, she just stupid. Like, this is stupid." But I remember as a teenager, like,
it was
wanting
everything. That book was
thinking about
everything.
schoolgirl, you know? But in my 30s, I wanted to strangle her. So it really just depends on where you are in, like, your life, you know?
Yeah, that's fair. That's a good one 'cause a lot of us have read that. Yeah.
Yes.
That's a good one. So, what is next for Books and Browser? What events are coming up?
So we have our creative writing series coming up. We're gonna
Ooh,
dive
okay.
into it will be centered around all about love. So we have that coming up in February. We still have our book club. Our meetings are every first Thursday. So we have one coming up this Thursday.
Y'all meet virtually or in person?
We meet in person and we switch where we meet quarterly. And we meet in person just because it's so important for me to like build that community.
Yeah.
So I know, like, some people will join, they'll be like, "Oh, I wish it was virtual," and I'll be like, "Yeah, nah, it's not." But there's so many other virtual book clubs out there, like, I will always point people in a direction. I don't feel I feel, like, strongly about that mission and that value of being in person that I don't bend on it, but there are also so many other book clubs that are virtual. My partners for BookNet their Booked and Busy book club is virtual, so I'll tell people, like, that's a great book club to be a part of. So, yeah, it's so many out there. And book clubs, there's so many and there's so many different kinds. So, it just depends on the person if they're gonna flow and work with that book club. So,
Yeah.
my book club is very chill, it's very lax. You can come or not come if you didn't read the book. Even if you didn't read the book, people will still come just for the vibes and the conversation, so it's really chill by design. But there are some book clubs where you have to, like, apply. There's some where you gotta pay. There's some
Yeah.
if you don't read the book twice, then you out of there. So, it's so many different kinds of book
Yeah.
clubs. There's some that are really small and they keep it small. So, it is a plethora of different kind of book clubs, and mine's is intentionally super lax because I know life happens. Life happens for me, and I just need somewhere that I can not have a lot of pressure, and so that's kinda the way our book club works. But yeah, so we have book club coming up, we have creative writing coming up, and yeah, that's what we have coming up for February.
And for your book choices, like, say you try to keep it mostly Black authors or color or
Yeah, so honestly, I tell people it's whatever people recommend. So the book club recommends books and then we do a voting system. I've never said it needs to be people of color, but that's just how it has turned out. We've had the book club now for 2 years, and out of all the books, we've only read two that were non POC.
Mhm.
And one of them is we just read it. So I guess we do like one a year. But of non-POC, but that's not by design, but it's just the interest of the club, so it just kinda happened like that, which, I've always read once I got in college, I've mostly read people of color authors because
Mm,
there are just so many out there, so,
yeah,
I don't know, when people be like, I have a hard time finding them." They everywhere, like, you just gotta look and not be scared of indie authors because the indie authors, that's where it be at sometimes.
definitely. And you said that so your books are from recommendation. Are they member recommendations or are there, like, any resources that you pull from books that might be coming up or coming out soon?
Yeah, so they're member recommendations. We have a group and we have one tab where you can just recommend books. If you saw something you want to read or if you read something really good, whatever, fancies you. and then I'll just go through them and I'll put it up on a poll. That's pretty much how it's been.
That's really cool. I love that. Then, so for this section, before we wrap up, I like to do a quick little like rapid fire questions. They're all kind of like a little bit Dallas related, a little bit whatever we're talking about that day. So I got a few little questions if you'll answer for us. What is a book that you are loving right now?
Right now, I am in the Fourth Wing series. I just
Okay.
finished Fourth Ring. I'm about to read Iron Flame. I'm not gonna lie, low key wanted to do all POC authors for February, but I'm like, that series so good. I just finished the first one. I'm like, I'll just make sure that the POC authors are more, but it's a fantasy book. It's really, really good. So that's what I'm loving right now.
Okay. And is there a book that you think that everybody should read at least once?
I think there is an author that everybody should read at least once, and for me, that's Toni Morrison. I feel like
That's fair.
man, yeah, I feel like at least one of her books, you have to read them. It's still so relevant today. It's still it's so touching, the writing is amazing and beautiful, so, yeah, I would suggest at least once in a lifetime picking up a Toni Morrison book.
Okay. How about coffee, tea, or matcha?
Tea, for sure.
Okay. And oh, you kind of already answered this one. I think you would prefer quiet reading at night or lively discussion.
Ooh, that's hard, actually.
Okay.
That is why I do like a good discussion, and I'm an ambivert, so I need both. Like, I need to be
Mhm.
around people, but then I also need to be alone, so I think it just depends. I think it just depends, and I can't even say what season of life I'm in. I'm in both, so
Yeah.
I have to pick both. Like,
Okay.
I
That's
wanna read it at night, and then I wanna discuss it the next day. Lively.
so that just makes sense for the book club and your business. Like it has to go because you
Mhm.
got to have both things.
For sure.
If you want to share with everybody where they can find you so they can connect.
Yeah, so you can connect with us on our socials, which is booksandbrownsugar.co. That's where you can stay up to date with all of our events, our apparel drops, where we're going to be at. You can also check out our website, bookstandbrownsugarco.com. We have a subscription box. You can sign up if you want to be a part of our book club. There's a link on our book club tab where you can find out more information and join our group meeting. But yeah, all of that is on our website. So definitely check us out.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much for joining the podcast. That was great.
Thank you. Yeah, I could talk about books all day. So thank you for me.
And you brought some good ones. I'm like, damn, I'm gonna add this to my list. Okay, I'm gonna add that to my list too.
I
So that
book business. I love business too. Now I'm still learning a whole lot about business. I guess I'll continue to keep learning. So I could definitely talk about
definitely.
those all
Just
day.
reading so much in the business is like, you think you ever might write a book someday? Or are you already working on one?
I'm not working on a book. I'm
Okay.
not I don't know. Who knows? I didn't see this for my life, so only time will tell.
And that'll do it. Another really great conversation with Tavia. I'm so glad that she was able to join us today. And I love some good books. So now I got some new ones to add to my list. So thank you guys for joining. Make sure you like, subscribe, and share the pod with your bestie, your book bestie, your book club, all of that. And if you want to support the pod, you can send some love to our Cash App at Life in the D Pod. And I'll see you back here next week. Same porch, same real talk. Eat well, spread love, and live free. I'll see y'all next week.